Well, I did a medical on him for Swansea City. Obviously, we were in 2003. We were in the depths of despair of the bottom of the third division. I think we were 7 points adrift at the time. And Roberto was one of the new players that came in January to help us obviously claw our way back into the league and stay in the league. And I remember going back to tell my wife after I did the medical, I said, well, I've been in football since, obviously with my father and since leaving school as a player, semi-professional, professional. And I've never really met anybody in football like him, really. It was more his personality, his vision of the game, how he wants to prepare players and how he saw the game in itself. And it was quite an enlightening moment for me, really, because normally footballers, they don't talk in those type of ways. They talk in, as just basically playing and that's it and celebrating. But with Roberto, it was always a process. There was always a preparation. There was always a style. There was always a personality behind it all. And that was what I found different in Roberto at that time.
All this just in a short medical,
That's the impression he gave me straight away.
Incredible.
It's as I said, I met many people, and I think I can quite categorically say he's turned out to be that person. He's most probably special in a way because obviously he's been able to transmit his thoughts and his vision to many teams and many players.
And as the years have gone on, 15 years. One, how has your relationship changed? But two, is there anything that you didn't realize early on that maybe has surprised you about him since?
It surprised me how quickly he became the transition from player to manager. I remember being a very possession-dominated player. I wanted to play the ball on the floor and play, short passes. Whereas maybe in that day that typical British football was to play the ball long into the corners for centre forwards to run onto, and he was always adamant that he played the ball short, and most probably at the frustration of quite a few managers. But then when he came back to us as a manager, which was most probably a bit of a surprise. Obviously, he was with us as a player, and then suddenly the chairman at the time, Hugh Jenkins, had the foresight to think that Roberto could become a manager. And then I remember the first game that he took charge. He said to me, my nickname is Evo. He said, Evo, I want to meet you back in Swansea straight after the game. I want you to discuss, where the players are at and maybe my vision in terms of how we want to develop things at Swansea City. And I remember going back to Swansea after the game. We lost to Yeovil Town, and he sat me down in the hotel, and we must have sat there for about 2 hours. And then again, I went back to the wife and said, wow, I've just been blown away. Roberto is a manager. And how I couldn't believe how quickly he transferred from player to manager, and he's still only the age of 35, 36. So that was the biggest surprise to me then.